It was bad. Okay. All right, I'm gonna get going. It's 6:10 on Thursday, November 17th. Hi, everyone. Matthew Kwame. I'd like to welcome you all to Pierce's local school council regular meeting. Before I get started, I realize that we don't actually have printed copies of the agenda. You know, like it's one of when my wife goes on business trips, and then I get home and dinner's not ready, and I guess I gotta get everybody ready. So we don't have printed copies of the agenda. My apologies. I should have made sure that we did. Luckily, I have an online copy, and Rocky's next to me, and she also has it. We will walk through this, and hopefully things are not too bumpy. Before I get started, again, so I'd like to welcome everyone to our meeting. Before doing a call to order, I'd like to do norms, if that works. Right? So we adopted our norms last time, and we thought it would be a great way to get started. They're very similar to what's being used right now by the student body. So our norms is to be an active, engaged, contributing participant by sharing practice and actively listening to others. Be flexible and respectful of others' time and decisions. Be open to other people's truths and perspectives. Be reminded of differences in cultural and social backgrounds. Be transparent about concerns, challenges, and misunderstandings. Be reflective, collaborative, and supportive. And always take the work back to student achievement. What can we do to make things better for our students, both academically and socially, emotionally? And then respect our confidentiality. With that, I'd like to do a quick roll call. I'm Matthew Kwame, parent rep.
Jerry Baumgarten, teacher rep.
Evan Krabs, teacher rep.
Benjamin, parent rep. All student rep. Kathleen Hayes, parent rep.
T.P.O. Flynn, parent rep.
Nicole Granby, parent rep. Jackie Rozier, parent rep.
Good. We do have a couple of our fellow members who are not here.
Brian, Adolfo, and Chris, is that?
That's it.
But not here either, and she would agree last minute emergency and technical related.
The first item before jumping right into it is the approval of the order of the agenda. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the order of our agenda.
Second.
Can I get ayes,
Aye.
nays, abstentions, discussion? All right. We move on.
Matthew, you got that better translation as well. Oh.
That's right. Hi, how are you doing?
Guys, I'm very sorry.
No, totally fine.
I couldn't answer this call.
Oh, good. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Nicole. So the first discussion item is something that we discussed prior to this meeting, but it's about meeting attendance expectations for LSC members. One of the things that we really want to do is really facilitate and encourage full participation during those meetings. We recognize that folks may have situations that prevent them from either being here the whole time or being here at all, but this is something that was near and dear to some of us, so I wanted to make sure that we put that as an item. So if folks have comments or things that they'd like to bring up, maybe we can, talk through that.
Yeah, I think the concern is that it can threaten quorum. Can you speak up a little bit? Sure. So a couple of people have left the meetings before we have voted. Adolfo's not here, but Adolfo has left at 8 o'clock for both the previous meetings. And my concern about that is that, if you're leaving early, unless because you get to us may not be in attendance at all, you may threaten quorum, and therefore not be able to conduct council votes. So I think, that's a potential problem that I like to put out there. And just, I'm curious, what do you expect of each other in terms of attending a full council meeting? Like, do people have opinions on that? I clearly do. I would like everybody to attend full council meetings if they can. And obviously things come up, but I'm a little surprised by repeated early departures.
So I have the,
Adolfo has class on Thursday nights, that starts at 8:15, so that's why he has to leave.
Yeah.
So I don't think we should hold that against him because he's in school. I would also say that this brings back what we talked about last month, which is I think 2 hours.
I brought it up, but.
Plenty of time for us to conduct council business, and I think if it goes over 2 hours, to be respectful of everybody's time, we should have a unanimous vote. I think, 2 hours is enough time to get through our agenda items, and if we need more time, then I think it should be unanimous that we agree to stay longer.
Do we know if it's a permanent thing or if it's a temporary thing?
I'm not really comfortable talking about Adolfo when he's not here, so that I'll just say, I don't want to participate in that part of the conversation because I think he should be here to speak for himself. But at the last meeting, we had talked, we had talked about meeting length time, and I was shot down completely that this is what we signed up for and stuff, but clearly people have other obligations, so I do think we need to have a consensus, if it's more than 2 hours, we take a vote, something, because if people do leave and we don't have a quorum to vote, then if I'm sitting here and other people are leaving, then it's so I think we need.
And wasn't it decided at LSC Meeting that voting would take place at the beginning of the meeting if there were issues that we were voting on?
That was a suggestion, yeah.
That might be helpful.
And we were discussing just timekeeping in general. Instead of having a hard deadline of it being over, but just noting time and trying to keep things to.
And then instituting other measures, like we can do reports ahead of time, and we can do report time to ask questions, and say no questions, and moving on.
Yeah.
And there's rules, I think, as far as needing to attend like 3 consecutive meetings, and if you're not, then we have to discuss that as a council if there's continual lack of attendance. So
Is it a reasonable request that if you're not going to a meeting and you're able to let the council know, is that a reasonable request of each other? And if you're going to the meeting early every time at any time, and you're able to know that ahead of time, that you let each other know, that to me feels like it goes to the norm of respect.
But it also doesn't honor the concern that we have had about having 3-hour meetings. We talked about this, and yes, this is what I signed up for, and I want to do it to the best of my ability, but after 2 hours, my brain is kind of just, I don't know. So I think that we need to have a compromise. Like if we need to notify people that we're not coming, if we're leaving early, then what's the compromise on what are we implementing? Are we voting at the beginning of the meeting? Are we going to vote at 8 o'clock? Are we setting the time? Are we timekeeping, really intensely? Like what's the compromise there? Because I hear 2 sides to the wants on both sides here.
I don't see one motion depending on the other. I think the common would be to extend each of us to let us know that we are not able to be the meeting, to let us know. Let everybody know. If we're gonna be leaving early, let people know. I don't see that as directly related to the duration of the meeting.
well, even we could also look at it from looking at it like you're leaving early, but if it goes beyond 2 hours, you're considering it like you're leaving late, just earlier than the others because there's no time constraint. And so I see both sides of it, and I think we should have a compromise on both ends in order to make our meetings productive, but also respecting each other's time, and being considerate and courteous and giving a heads up if we need to leave at a certain time or if we can certain things.
I'm wondering if you're gonna have to wait for everyone here to have a discussion about the norms of the group in terms of telling people at a time, if you're not telling the whole council if we won't be able to make it, and also when you do need to leave early, communicate that to us so that we can vote on things earlier, at the least.
I know in the past, it's been requested that if you can't attend a meeting, you communicate it to the chair, so that the chair can know if we're on quorum. I don't know if we have to let everybody know, but for sure, I think it's respectful to let you as chairperson know. Because if we don't have quorum, then we can really get business.
So is it reasonable to reach out to everyone and say just that? If there are situations that would prevent folks from either attending for the full duration or not even attend, then let at least the chair, if not the vice chair, know that this is happening so that we can potentially rearrange the order of the agenda. I think it seems fairly reasonable to reach out. And I think folks have tried, to be here as long as they can. And to your point, I can't address something with somebody who's not around. So we gotta think about that too. So does it make sense then to
Six can go off maybe 3.
That's good. So does that make sense then, Kathleen? Just making sure that I will send communication around with that expectation, saying folks are not going to be able to make it, or they're going to have to leave early for whatever the reason, that they at least let us know so that we can rearrange agenda items as necessary. The notion of quorum is important to me as well. I think that's very important. Great. Okay,
One suggestion, I guess, or offer for this meeting, so I offered to be timekeeper. We don't really have timings like for this agenda for each item, but I could like let people know, I guess, like 10 minutes into each item, that we're 10 minutes into it, or whatever we think is reasonable, just as an effort to like not spend 40 minutes on one item if you don't want to.
does it make sense for you and I to, you and me, to like kind of do
Yeah,
that and try to put some
Right.
slots in there and then let folks know and see what they.
yeah.
Okay.
For today though, does everyone want me to like call out 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay,
I think that works out.
let's do that.
Very good. Thank you. That's a good thing. Okay, moving on to the next item, the agenda, items needing council approval. The first item is the minutes of the regular meeting, so our meeting for the past month. Rocky shared the minutes with us. Anyone has any questions? You did?
I think
Or
I
you
just
didn't?
posted it, but I didn't think I did share it.
Okay.
Please
Okay.
save that for the next meeting.
You want to do that?
I'll
Okay.
put both of them together.
All right. Posted, not
To
shared.
continue.
Very good. Very good. All right. Next item is our very own Ella. Student representative report. We missed you last month.
No, I wasn't feeling the best. Okay, so, since Ms. Amy isn't here, some students were asking about what's going on with the student voice. Like, the thing, are we doing it, are we calling it student voice or student council, stuff like that. Also, will we be like voting for it? Or will it be, like teacher elects someone like that, or is it just all the questions Ms. Amy was talking about last time? And then, another student was asking about like the outside renovation thing you were talking about. When is it going to start? Yeah, playground in the field. Like, when is it going to start and when is it going to end? Yeah, and then, another student, actually a couple of students came up to me and they were asking about if there could be a student paper where students would, like, talk about clubs, sports, fundraisers and stuff that's going around the school. Would it be online or paper? Yeah, and then, one article a week, and it's like a middle school program after school, 6th through 8th grade.
Can I clarify that last part? So the suggestion is to, if there is a student that has a newspaper, to make it like an after-school club. Yeah. Okay.
Very good. Thank you very much for that. Next item on the agenda is, traditionally we call it the principal report. We are lucky to have both Sam and Ms. Munoz here to go through a state of the school presentation. In all transparency, Sam and I talked about it, and I think that there'll probably be, or maybe Sam can confirm that there'll be a presentation to the greater or broader peers community, but this is for the LSC itself. So it probably is not going to be every single slide that we'll go into. I shared the document with you all a little earlier. So without further ado, Sam and Chris,
Alright. Hi, everyone. My name is Sam. I'm one of the assistant principals here at Pierce. I'm excited to be here. And this is my first, in-person LSC meeting. I just want to thank you all for allowing us to join you this evening.
Hi, yes, I'm Kristen Munoz. I'm the assistant principal, as you know, for pre-K to fourth grade. I think that's, yeah, this will be my first year at LSC Meeting. I've been at the LSC meetings, but it's fierce one. So thank you for having us.
So we're here to purpose because obviously the thing is out. And in lieu of that, we will present to you the state of the school address. Just want to also say thank you, Ella. It's just so encouraging to see a student on the council. So great job, and I enjoyed that too. Okay. We are going to go through all the slides, but really fast.
That's fine. Do your thing.
All right, today's purpose. Today's purpose, the state of the school, is our district-wide practice to support and encourage robust community conversation on school progress, priorities, and collective efforts to move forward. We're grateful to be here tonight, and we will take a look back at the past, reflect on our progress, and areas of focus. So our agenda today, there are 3 items. Looking back at school year 22, reviewing the school year 2022 data, and updates for this school year. And so with that said, we're going to start with the first item on the agenda, which is looking back at the school year 2022. And before we do that, we want to kind of ground ourselves in our school's mission and vision. And so I will just read aloud. This is posted on the website as well for your viewing, but I will just read aloud the first paragraph just to orient our time here today. So our school mission is to guide students to take ownership of their learning through experiential engagement and reflective thinking. We provide a balanced curriculum designed to meet the academic, cultural, and social emotional needs of our diverse student body. All members of the Pierce community are committed to grow as productive, globally minded citizens.
So before we engage in the discussion over our student data, it's really important to think about the impact the pandemic did have on our students. And we just want to provide some context. So we know, as we know, that the pandemic did have a huge impact across the students, both here at Pierce, both in CPS, and across the nation. So if you're feeling that your students might be struggling, you're not alone. This is something that we even experience ourselves talking to different school leaders and talking about some of the experiences that they're having in their classroom. It's something that we are all facing together. So, but I'm confident with the right strategies in place that our school will be able to provide our students with the support that they need for the whole child, but also help them move forward on a path to success and raise achievement. So later in the presentation, we're going to share a little bit more about the strategies and supports that we have in place, that we had in place last year, but then also what we have in place for this upcoming school year. So these headlines do not reflect CPS data, and these headlines, like I said, don't reflect CPS data, but again, it's across the nation. So something that's really important to consider and think about is the CPS accountability redesign. This is something that CPS has been engaging in. It started last year. So yeah, for the past 2 years, the district has engaged different stakeholders to redesign its approach to accountability, including school ratings. The new priorities will be grounded, the new approach will be grounded in priorities of the parents, our educators, our school leaders, and other key stakeholders. There was an advisory group that were together to formulate different recommendations. And actually on this website, which everyone should have access to, you can see on the website, they'll tell you about the populations that have been surveyed. So from parents to students to leaders, other stakeholders across communities. And it also talks about the familiarity of the former SPRP ratings or accountability ratings. And this also gives you the opportunity to provide feedback and still to provide feedback on what they will be presenting in school year 24 when finalized accountability ratings. So we're targeting for April 2023, we'll be looking at the final vote for the new accountability policy, and there will be another additional time to provide your input on the new policy, accountability rating policy. So just a little bit more, and as we transition to our new approach to accountability, there's a few key indicators to know, is that for this school year, this is the third year with no ratings. In the past, which I was calling SQRP, there was a level of level 1, 1 plus, 1, 2, 2 plus, or 2 plus 2. So those are the different accountability statuses that we used to use at CPS. The last time that we received an accountability status of one of those level ratings was in school year 2019. So for this school year, and then so in fall 2023, there will be accountability statuses that are determined using state's rating system for the board resolution. So that's actually through the ISB rating station or rating they'll be providing. So there'll be 4 different ratings you can fall under. And so it's either exemplary, commendable, targeted support, comprehensive support. And maybe 75% of that is going to come from student data, and the other 25% is from attendance and another accountability survey, the metric that is provided from the schools. So that then finally fall 2024 is going to be the first release of information of the updated school accountability dashboard with a new approach to accountability. So throughout this process, the district will continue to support school communities in making the transition to our new approach. So again, in the meantime, you can register and go to this online dashboard to get more information.
Just a quick clarifying question. You said student data, what lives underneath that umbrella?
The student data that they did for the ISB, for what they're currently going to be giving.
So achievement data only?
Yeah, so it is going to be achievement data. It's on the IAR and the science assessment. So you can't get these older students. And that's only for this school year. They're using the science assessment.
But no other student indicators?
No, they're just using IAR for right now.
So like no SEL, no?
No, not for what they're doing in interim.
Okay.
So in the future, the finance bill will be used to determine the accountability statuses, but what they're currently using right now will not.
All right, so looking back on last school year, our progress toward our CIWP priorities. So some of these are just accomplishments that we've done or we are still ongoing. We finalized IB units to reflect more inclusive and culturally diverse curriculum. We are continuing the implementation of IB units of study through ongoing review process as we prepare for the upcoming IB evaluation. We have continued our Facing History partnership. We are still receiving support from Dr. Fisher through the implementation of equity purpose to practice, the use of the 4-step conscious raising process, and the KPI, the key performance indicators. We are continuing our partnership with Northwestern as we meet all these progress toward our CIWP goals. So, to highlight our social emotional support, we have built in SEL curriculum in the schedule, in the master schedule to tie it to IB learning profile attributes. It was last school year was our first year with an additional counselor, Ms. Adu, who is dedicated to support pre-K to 4, grades range pre-K to 4. And then we have our student supports team, which is our behavioral health team, and our MTSS team, our multi-tiered systems of support team. And we still have our attendance and re-engagement. So part 2 of our time today is to review now the school year 2022 data.
Yeah, so to start, this is a really high-level overview of our school year 22 data. So there's some here. So there are 4 different metrics that we're going to focus on for the high-level view, but there's other metrics that we are also going to talk about that we thought were important to reflect our student body. So the first 2, I just want to note, we have 3rd through 8th grade on-track index, so that's grades and attendance is how we determine if a student is on track or off track. So this is the number of students for school year 22. This column here that says rated against previous school year, I just want to note that the first 2 are from this past school year, so school year 21. The bottom 2 are IAR from school year 19. So that was the last time that we had full student body taking IAR. So it's just something that's just important to note the difference, which we're going to have a breakdown once we get into more of the data. Then we have the unadjusted attendance. And then the final 2, like I said, will be a proficiency for IAR and ELA, so our English language arts. and we can see an IAR in math, which, both for IAR or their third to eighth grade students do take IAR. You can see in terms of the shift, the change from from previous school year, is so we had a positive change for a number of third to eighth grade students who are on track. Our attendance, if you can see that we had a slight negative change, so our attendance was lower last school year compared to school year 21. And then you can see the big drop here, and this is what we were talking about a little bit before, is the impact of the pandemic and how that has shown in some of our assessment data. So this change is from school year 2019, so this is comparing that data from the school year. And we're gonna dig into more of the.
So continuing with the on-track data, this is just another visual. We're gonna focus on the school year 22 version because this is current year, it's still in progress, right? So 2022, we had, for grades 3 to 8 through 8, we had 73% of our students on track. And then students with IEPs, we had 54%. And then students that identified with English language needs at 68%. And then I just would like to point out the jumps for the IEP and the students with ELA subjects. This is same data metric, which is on track, but this one has a different demographic breakdown. And so, once again, focusing on school year 21-22, 60% of our American Indian students were on track, 77% of our Asian students were on track, 53% of our Black students were on track, 70% of our Hispanic students, 65% of our multiracial students, and 82% of our white students. This is our unadjusted one-year attendance record. So I just wanted to point out once again the titles. We have our student group or the demographic breakdowns. This column here that says N is the number of students in school year 2022. And then you have the rates for 2021 and the rates for 2022. And the attendance overall, I believe, is above 90%. And the only positive rate change was for our African American students. Still talking about attendance, the different demographics. We broke it down for reverse learners, English learners, and economically disadvantaged, with the numbers associated with it, and the rate change lowest will be -3.
So next is, we're going to talk about our IAR data. So this is again for our third to eighth grade students. So this is the 2-year change. So this is the one that we saw the big drop in both ELA and in math. And so you can see how that impacted our different student groups. One thing that just like stood out to me was just the difference between our female population and our male population, and then there is the breakdown, but just having a negative 11.7% and a negative 4.1 drop compared for the adjusted female and adjusted male, which is something that stood out to me. It's still breaking down into the demographics is important. The different student groups is important to know. You will note something that also stood out to me was the smaller change that we had with our diverse learners and our English learners. So just thinking about, what supports were there that were different that supported our diverse learner population and English learner population, where we don't always see the data, the shift. We maybe sometimes anticipate a different shift. So we just want to also tap into what supports were provided that we felt less of a change. Still is a negative change, obviously want a positive increase. We are looking for negative shifts. There's just more that I would like that we want to tap into there. Then we have our math data. This is another one which we're going to talk about more in some of the targets that we're doing in school year 23. But you also see this reflected in our CIP goals. is our continuous improvement work plan, goals that we created, that I know that we created my first year here, that we have since revised, because of the pandemic. We normally revise every 2 years. But one of our areas of focus is math. And so this is something that over the pandemic that we did not really focus in on as much. We did not have a big focus on math. We were focusing more on our other CIS goals. We can really see the impact on the IAR for 3rd through 8th grade. And then we do have one budget change for our English learners. So there was growth there. But still, and we know there's so many factors that go into the shifts or into the results that we had, but it's just surprising to see such a big change from school year 19. So just really reflecting on what effect the pandemic has, how the instruction was different, and what supports being provided moving forward.
Another metric that we have, the district shifted into another key assessment that we used from last school year for math and literacy, which is called STAR 360. So we moved away from math testing to STAR 360. And these assessments help us deliver our recommitment to high quality, rigorous instruction by helping understand the following. First, students' general academic skill and performance level. Secondly, whether students are meeting established academic benchmarks, and which students may need additional supports based on the data, interventions, or enrichment in any particular academic needs. With that said, I had a really difficult time pulling up the school year 21-22 STAR data, and so I did want to provide, though this is still in progress, this is not last year's data, but this is our current fall data, and so this is in progress. The data is kind of like not as relevant as we are just looking to, we're looking back to school year 22 data, but I did want to provide some kind of graphic that shows how proficiency looks like when you get next year. Okay, so this is the reading for this fall, which does really like kind of similar to like the IOM that I think does look like a little bit. This is our proficiency for math. For this fall.
And I think something else that's really important to note about the STAR 360, so how that relates to our IAR data. So I would be thinking, so as a parent or even as a leader, or teacher, or anyone that has kids in the building, our students thinking about how are the STAR data to support my students to know that they're on track for IAR. And so the difference with the STAR assessment compared to IAR is that it does allow you to identify more targeted skills, and it is adaptive. So it's going to shift based on how the student is performing on that assessment, and then allows staff, teachers, leaders to really dig into the areas of need for the students. You can target skills to help support them meet their grade level standards. Whereas IAR also is just solely on grade, like your grade level assessment. So the next is EdPass. So this is what we last year and years past used for our K-2 assessment for reading only. And so this is actually data that I started, my first year, I went back to school year 19 data and was just wanted to use that as a comparison to see how students have progressed from EOY to EOY. And
Can you break down those acronyms?
yeah, sorry. Beginning of year to end of year. Okay. So EOY is beginning of year, MY middle of year, EOY end of year. So just students take this assessment 3 times a year to just get a benchmark of how they're progressing. There is a shift in the middle of the year assessment in terms of the benchmark for students. But so since my first year, I was looking at school year 19 data, and then from then I was not able to collect the data the same way because the students can take the assessment. They took beginning of the year, middle of the year, but then didn't take end of year. There was a different way that they engaged the assessment, and so finally in school year 22, they got to take the assessment the same way that they had in school year 19. It is something, and I should have put it up here, but something that's just really positive to highlight is that we actually did better school year 22 overall in each grade level compared to school year 19. So teachers really dug in, they really focus their interventions, we're really targeting their small groups, and we're able to use this assessment to support the students. So there's a lot of work done to really ensure that we are still, there was a lot of gaps, a lot of different needs. So our teachers did a great job of really digging in to support our students. And so you can see, and this might be a little hard to see, but you can see that there's growth in each grade level, and that we have a high percentage of our proficiencies, but there still is need for, if you look here, there's 37% that are considered below and well below proficiency, and we will really want to work on getting that number lower for the rest of the school year. The below benchmark and well below benchmark for second or first grade was 38%, and then for second grade it was 28%. It was 20%. You can see in second grade it was a huge shift. We had 73% of our second grade kids who were above benchmark at the end of the school year last year, so reading above grade level. So that's really great to see that shift, but it's also a large shift as well, or a large, there's a gap there. But either way, you can still see how students are progressing in the positively throughout the school year. I will note that this is the assessment that we used last school year, and that there is a shift to the assessment they were using this year. It's called high ready. District decision to shift the assessment.
The next thing is that something that we decided to do from last year to this school year is to move our discipline data all through the same student information center, which is Aspen. So everything is recorded through Aspen so that we can present truly accurate data to people that need it. And so with that said, like a lot of the data last year, it was in two different places, whereas this time what we're going to try to use is our Aspen information system to be able to pull data like this. This year thus far, we've had 24 total incident counts, and out of the 24 total incident counts, 50% of those incidences turned out resulted in constructive, corrective, restorative practices. And I talked to Mr. Jackson about what that truly means. And it means that there was either a peace circle, a talking circle with the person harmed, and essentially at the root cause there was a real understanding and resolution, depending on the situation. And then 43% that resulted in detention, and 1 detention this year thus far. The detentions typically, what that looks like is it's after school and there's more discussion on determining the root cause of whatever the infraction was. And then Mr. Jackson, our restorative coach, finds some type of reading to go along with reflection based on the incident so that there's opportunity for our students to reflect and grow. And then we have a basic breakdown of these incidences. There were three students that were Black and non-Hispanic, 4 students that were Hispanic, 1 that was multiracial, and 4 that were white and non-Hispanic.
Does detention happen when restorative practices are not met?
I'm not sure. It could overlap. I think it could overlap determining the conversation between the harmed or the actor or the family. So I could see it overlap.
Sorry, one quick question for clarification. It says 24 total incident counts, but then if you add the racial breakdown, it doesn't total 24? Am I missing something?
No, so it's just multiple occurrences.
Some of these from the same student.
Individual, I see, okay.
All right. Part 3 is our updates on this school year.
So first, just revisiting our CAWP goals. So we made a few shifts and updated our metric to use on track. So first is just this is actually the one that we're really focusing on this year because we have focused on our other 2 CAWP priorities more heavily over the past couple of years. So if we use formative assessment data to plan math instruction, the middle C. The use of data cycles to analyze formative assessment data, plan for new reports and monitor student growth on grade level math standards, which leads to an increase in on-track rates for Latinx students from 65 to 68%, and African American students from 65 to 16%. That's one of our CIW goals. And then, sorry, our next one is around differentiation. So we can provide professional development in reading and math on research-based strategies to support English learners and diverse learners. And then we'll see use of data cycles to analyze formative assessment data, plan for individual supports, and monitor student growth on grade level math standards, which leads to an increase on-track rates for Latinx students from 65 to 68%, and for African American students from 65 to 68%. And you can see how we try to interweave part of our first CIW formative assessment. And then finally, culturally relevant practices. We engage in 2-year-long cycle inquiry on our QIP and NYC curriculum with a focus on bias, equity, cultural relevance, cultural representation, accuracy, and instructional rigor with multiple access points. That brings for engagement for all learners, and we'll see an increase in student engagement as they see themselves reflecting curricular resources and experience more opportunities for inquiry in the classroom and strengthening teaching practices that incorporate culturally relevant and sustained pedagogy with more robust supports for all learners. Seeing an increase on our on-track for English learners from 61 to 64%, and an increase in our on-track for African American students from 65 to 68, and Latinx students from 65 to 68%. So with that, a few of our updates. So with that, so some of our school year senior updates. So we've really focused in on our formative assessment plan to really target that very first CIW people that we have not been able to focus on over the past couple of years, but also knowing the impact that formative assessment has on student learning. So we're going to this year we've been anchoring our work in Dylan Williams with research on formative assessment. So we're engaging in professional development that aligns with his work, or using his extra resource. We're going to engage in coordinated cycles of learning, peer observations, instructional walkthroughs, lesson study cycles, and formation of instructional leadership. So this is our very first school year that we have an ILT, which is our instructional leadership team, which is composed of teachers and then also administration, so that we can work collaboratively on our professional development and also to help monitor the progress movements there. And so an area where we, for differentiation, we have our co-teaching PLC on collaborative practices that Evan is leading with the SME. English language learning modules, that's being done by Mr. Lerner, engaging in professional development for our teachers, in collaboration with our BHT, so our behavioral health team. Then we also had our foundation, our partnership with the Best Foundation for support with inclusion, and not only is that something where our staff has to do professional development, but we obviously also collaborate as an administration team, along with Panacea, case manager. We eventually also can do overseas, as you know, our QIP, our IB, to work on development on our end and think about other ways that we can also support our staff. We have our monthly special education team meetings with a focus on IEP writing. Part of that came from some of the work that we did the previous year with the Best Foundation, where we did an analysis into our IEPs, which are individualized education plans, where our students who are considered diverse learners, they receive an IEP, and that's really important to help guide their instruction. Then we have our monthly SEGA team meetings with a focus on high learning practices. And again, we're already embedded in the formative assessment that leads to differentiation. And finally, lesson study cycles.
Can you say something about that? Because this is our, as like we're reimagining school year and reintroducing school, like lesson study cycles are starting again. We had to put a pause on it, but lesson study cycle is where there's a panel of teachers that come together to talk about a problem of practice, and then they're able to do some research and deliver a lesson, and then they are able to talk about it. So that really does drive instruction. Yes.
Also, what's SECA? SECA?
SEGA, so it's an umbrella term, so it's normally our, I need to be our teaching assistants, but also they support our diverse learners, so they are,
Special
Special
education
education
classroom
assistants.
that's, there we go. Oh, that's like, actually, ESP is the umbrella language, not CPS, that's fine.
Thank you.
I'm familiar with the term high leverage practices in the teacher preparation world out of Michigan. Is that something different? High leverage practices, the way that you're
The
in that sort of
The
culture?
Council for Exceptional Children, which is the special education council, released high leverage practices in the world of special ed. And so they've been focusing on going through those.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then our last CIWP goal, which is culturally relevant practices. We are continuing with the implementation of IB study with ongoing review and revisions. Facing history, that partnership, they are coming up to us to deliver professional development, but we also get to attend their professional development virtually, depending on what the need is. Fostering civil discourse, and then we receive professional development from Dr. Fisher at the beginning of the school year on the implementation of equity focused practice, using the 4 steps of conscious raising process and key performance indicators. I would like to also mention that at Northwestern, they're continuing their work with us as well, and we are hopefully by the end of this school year going to form affinity spaces, which is something that has been asked for by our student population and parent population, so we should be able to do that next school year.
Are those community spaces focused just on students or teachers too?
Right now, it's just students, it's pilot program. These are our parent partnerships that currently exist. Our BAT, my Inwood Advisory Committee, Friends of Peers, Peer Service Organization, my local school council, and racial equity.
So yeah, that's our,
Thank you.
Questions?
Yeah, I was just curious, in some of the data crunching early on, I think this might be more of an upstream thing, but I'm just curious about like identifying students by gender identity and just having the binary female assigned, male assigned. Has there been any discussion of neither or both in grouping groups of queer kids, or I'm just curious what your thoughts are on.
if there's been a discussion, I am unaware of those discussions. So this one, where we get some of it is straight from CPS. So they provide us like that higher level work, and it's that breakdown. Maybe that's something I think is really great to continue to have discussion around, to see where the discussions have been around that, because I'm not aware if there have
So
been. There may be-
that's a breakdown from CPS.
Yeah. But it's also like how are different offices communicating.
Yeah, I could just imagine if I'm neither of those, I'd probably feel kind of.
I do think there are some shifts from the IRA, right? Was there not? With the labels?
Yeah, it just like.
IRA system. Yes.
So I know that MAP was replaced by Star 360, and I've heard that it is not an apples to apples comparison between those two tests. So, like, as a parent of a 7th grader, I'm just trying to wrap my head around, and have been trying to wrap my head around sort of the data trajectory from the time pre-pandemic, when he was in 4th grade, is when the pandemic started. And then there was no testing when he was in 5th grade. And then the first year back, full course in person, was 6th grade, and that was when this transition to Star 360 happened. And then for some reason, I don't remember having IAR scores before, but he was in a different school. So I'm trying to, I get the scores and like this one looks better than this one. And I'm trying to understand from a parent perspective, like where he's at. And I've talked to teachers too, but I guess just for parents in general, how would you address that? Good question.
Can I piggyback on that? I was just gonna say that the language and the sheer amount of assessments and the shift from, which I know you guys don't have a lot of forms of district decision, is quite confusing, right, for parents. So if there's a way for us to communicate that more clearly to parents, even in parent-teacher conferences, to just explain sort of like, these are the summative assessments, this is where we get our data from, this is what formative assessment is, just a very basic overview. And maybe you could give some clarity about, you mentioned that MCAS was the K2 reading. It sounds like iReady now is the reading. And is iReady also the math? Yeah. Okay. Yep. And then sorry, I already forgot your question.
Similar, yes. I guess how can we, as a school, provide more clarity? It's like we're educators, so we kind of get it, but it's still confusing even to people like in the education field.
No, it definitely is in the shifts, that they haven't happened really quickly, and so just thinking about how we can be more responsive to ensure that not only our, of course, staff and the student body understand, but then also our families understand. And just to provide you just kind of quick thought that ran through my mind is that I know in the past we used to do a promotion policy meeting. My very first year, there was one, and so I was supposed to do one this year, but they don't have the updated promotion policy. So how can we also actually embed some of this information about the assessments for our families? If that's a parent-driven, that's something that we do provide for the families. So maybe that's something that we need to also embed in there to help support the understanding that goes beyond, yes, an educator, but then also our families, so they feel more confident and maybe to sit down and have those parent conferences with the teacher, so they can have more discussion and make sense more about data. And IAR used to be known as PRAC. That might be.
Oh, right, I knew that, and that makes sense, they opted them out. Until.
So it's, yes, then just the shift in the name, how, happened to us a lot. But I think that's great feedback, that we want to make sure that, because it is easy to get into that, educational jargon.
I just had one comment about some of the language that we use, specifically English language learners. So it's a district CPS, it's just the term that we use, right? And I would love for at least the peers community to begin a conversation about labeling children in that way, only because it gives the assumption that they don't have a language, right? Like when we call them English languages, and I think it's going to come up again in our presentation that the equity committee is going to do. Maybe beginning to think about, this term and how it is really approaching them from a deficit standpoint, that they're actually multilingual learners, and that's an asset to have. And that they are, of course, learning English, but they have their own language. So it's an overarching sort of idea and concept that I want to bring to the data conversation, because it's going to come up again today, and I think it's something to begin thinking about as school.
Yeah, and I hear that. It's actually been something that I've been frustrated with. I used to do like what Josh does, our English language program teacher. I was actually an English learner teacher, but also that language is consistent. So really, although I think something we still think about CPS, their office actually identifies our students who English is not their native language, identifies them as students who are English learners, so just EL, rather than English language learner. So that's one gap that I know that they implemented. I don't know, maybe like 2017, maybe a little bit earlier than that. But you can see that even the data from CPS has not caught up with that. So how do we help support that information? But then also diverse learners. So special education is actually diverse learner.
I think it's so hard with diverse learners, right? It's that they are categorized as diverse learners. I think that has come so far. And I'd love to see us as a community engage in that in terms of
I was wondering, there was some of the IAR numbers, we were at -20%, which is just like a shocking number, probably something we never thought, we'd see. And I'm just wondering kind of how we as a school approach going into the school year with those sorts of numbers. Like, how is it different than how you might have approached the school year pre-pandemic? And how do we kind of overcome some of those scary numbers that we saw in the presentation?
Yeah, I think that's where our CIWP goal and formative assessment is useful, because what we're asking is to prioritize the standards that we would like to have leverage, right? So for teachers to understand what are the high priority standards as we want to deliver grade level standards when we see this deficit, so that we can make sure that we continue to prioritize the learning on grade level to catch them up. And then we need to have a robust intervention plan to kind of fill in the gap. And I think our interventionists do a wonderful job on that. I think that's like two ways to really start curbing that number. And hopefully start seeing it.
In addition to that, correct me if I'm wrong, there might be a little off on my part. But we do our MTSS team, so something that we focused on for this school year, or even last school year. And this was a challenging decision to make. So we have an interventionist, and we have really worked on having to target our primary students, just to ensure that we are not creating too large of gaps or identifying that unfinished learning very early on. And in the past, we had for MYP, so it was either 6th through 8th or it was potentially 5th through 8th, that the learning community, so that was additional time for teachers to get targeted instruction to support students and fill in those gaps, again, identify that unfinished learning. We did not have those learning communities for the 2 years of the pandemic. So we had it at the beginning of school year 20, obviously got a pandemic, then we didn't have it that next year, and then we brought back those learning communities, so as an additional area to support our students. So that's another targeted time that teachers will have the ability to be more, have the time to be more strategic to really target skills for students so that we can start to address some of these gaps.
Yeah, and what that looks like is it's 3 hours in a week.
Because we didn't have,
We didn't have that.
that's right. That's what I was saying.
During the pandemic, we were focused on social emotional learning. And so we were ramping those types of instruction for our teachers to just continue to build the relationships with students.
And I think you alluded to this at the beginning, but nationally, there's a 20-year loss or a 40, I'll say last time, of math scores in KP. So yeah, it's really national.
I'm wondering how, just to piggyback off that, the topic of this conversation, I see at the college level a lot of mental illness issues, and I know sometimes those types of things don't maybe perhaps as readily appear in younger children, but then I'm thinking about trauma, and how attention to that is folded in with all the other measures that you outlined in response to Nicole's question. Like, are we seeing if there's higher levels of trauma and mental health issues as children get back in the building last year?
So something that we are noticing, I would say, in comparison to last year, so when students came back, students were happy, they're super excited, and it just had a different feel, just their peers, and so you got to see that. I do remember that some more challenging transitions, just getting acclimated with school for some of our primary courses, like for my area courses. That's still something that we are noticing. So that is where Ms. Adu comes in to hire a second counselor to really focus on our pre-K to 4th grade. Ensuring there is the SEL time in tier 1, so just a tier 1 meaning that all students are receiving targeted, or all students are receiving social emotional learning, but then also what tier 2 supports are provided, and then when do we really need to leverage our BHT, our behavioral health team. So our teachers do a really good job of engaging in, there's a whole system set up, we have a form, we have our BHT teams that also, but then we as a team determine what kind of supports we need to provide students. But But in addition to that, that is something that I know I've specifically been talking to teachers about different approaches or additional targeted time for social emotional learning that needs to happen within the classroom. And some of that is just remembering how to share or, ask for something. And so it's just taking that moment to step back and see that we might have to target some skills that we, just naturally students just start to would come in with, but taking a few steps back and really thinking about maybe I should be more explicit about supporting our students with some of these skills. But our VHT team is really where we leverage those supports, especially having NANA. So NANA was a huge win for us to be able to hire NANA so that we can really support our pre-K4 and our fifth grade for games.
I also want to say that our teachers are doing that too, like that. Tier 1 is so important. They're kind of the first defense system for us to understand the needs that are kind of coming up. They're the ones that really make the referrals to our VHT team. They're the ones that really first notify us of something that they're seeing might be potentially like a case with intervention or something like that. So we do. This is where teachers wear multiple hats in the classroom. They're instructors, but they are also teachers in a lot of ways. And so, I'm sorry, no problem.
So in the past, and I think it was last year when we took IAR, it's been not counting as a high stakes test. It's been important, but not the MEP and now it is. How are we taking that kind of message that has been sent with, this dropping scores and data, that's obviously going to affect our overall income rating. But we have a high level of parents who opt their children out of the test, and then it's kind of been communicated that, not that it doesn't count, but that it doesn't. It's not a high stakes piece. So how does that play into all of this?
I think there's those more conversations that we need to have. And I personally was learning about how much of an impact that was going to have for the interim rating for schools. And get a better understanding of what data, we don't know yet what we use for the ratings for moving forward. So I think those are more conversations that we need to have at a school level.
What is the interim meeting again?
So it's going to be this year, and I think it is also next school year where they're using, it's use accountability.
I also wanted to say, when you were asking about the SEL, I teach second grade and teaching for a while. I personally think in the lower grades we're seeing more of an uptick in anxiety, but it's not necessarily, sometimes it's just learning how to be in school, because some of the kids that are in my classroom, especially last year, they weren't in the classroom since pre-K. And then there's me, I haven't been in the classroom a full year since the pandemic, because there's a pandemic and I was the online teacher and I was on maternity leave. So I think that it's not so much that we're seeing so many more issues. I definitely see the anxiety, but it's learning how to be back in school, and it's learning how to be a peer. It's learning how to get along, like stuff that in second grade you sometimes take for granted, definitely know how to share, you might be kind. You're seeing that regression of a behavior, oh wait, am I teaching kindergarten? I teach kindergarten, So I think that's, I wouldn't say it's definitely social emotional issues with the school, my own, I see it, but I think the little kids, it's just learning how to go through the lunch line, learning how to raise your hand to the bathroom, they're used to getting into the bathrooms, see you later, where are you going? So, I would like to just say that I don't know about the upper grades, because I'm not in the upper grades, but in the little ones, I think it's learning the school process. Yeah.
So along with that, what do the teachers think is most needed now to better support the kids?
So we do, we have the social emotional learning curriculum that we use, and there's a whole calendar of what you're teaching each week, the second step, but then we also, we put other things in there too, we're having an issue right now with giving someone a dirty look and how your looks can, say how you're feeling. So they stop and we look at someone else, or how your face can show emotion. So, I think at the school level, we have a curriculum and it is being implemented because the kids come in knowing and it's spending extra time, like we are spending extra time. There are days where we don't get to everything next week because we have to have a class meeting, or we have to have a peace circle, we have to talk about things. So I think it varies on the need of the classroom that you're in. But I feel very strongly that our social emotional, like I know that that's one thing that I think we do well. And our BHT team, I referred and kind of response to staff within it. So I think that that's something that we are doing well.
I wanted to ask about the on-track data. It was one of the first slides with the bars, and it had a racial breakdown in there, and it was like quite dramatic.
With the first one?
I think you were just there. Yeah, it seems like, and I think I've seen this one before in previous years, where we see like our white students and Latinx student numbers increasing and the Black student population not increasing at the same level. And I'm wondering kind of your take on this slide and kind of what this is an indicator of, and I guess what we're doing to make these numbers like more equitable.
And that's the achievement gap, right? That's AKA the opportunity gap. I mean, we're seeing it on a school level.
And one of the graphs was disaggregated poverty, but I'm not really sure how to overlay that with this.
I think it's reflected in our CIWP goals to try and make effective changes in the demographics that you mentioned, as we look at like culturally relevant practices to see if like a raising belonging, sense of belonging could impact some of these numbers. Is like one way that I was thinking of it. Is like looking at our CIWP goals of formative assessment, differentiation, and these culturally relevant practices to raise some of these subjects.
I was wondering if there's any sort of collaboration. I know Ms. Amy works with other schools in the area, but with schools of similar demographics to see like what they're doing, if there's like lessons learned across schools in this area.
With similar demographics? You can ask questions.
Good goal, but thank you so much for your time. This is very Thank you very much. One of the items that we have here as part of our regular meeting is the safety community update. I think and that's how you
I sent an
figured it
update.
out. So I think sorry.
No, I sent the update as well, how
That's what I was going to go through and talking about. So in terms of helping with the meeting and the timing, we've asked folks to send in updates or reports directly in so that if there are questions, we can ask them. So I'm just going to open it up and see if there are any questions specifically for that one.
Safety?
Yeah.
I thought that wasn't going to be a committee anymore.
No, that's the we had a safety committee as a subcommittee of the LSC, but this one specifically is about the general building, I believe, the facilities and upkeep and things like that, and that one's still on. Okay. Yes.
Did you get a report? Have you done the principals?
Oh,
That's right.
I sent something to you.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure, wrong.
I think it was. So usually, again, for the agenda, we have a budget section, but I think that one, we didn't get anything from Lori or Ms. Cortez, so I think we can skip that. We can do it on time. I like that. The next item on the agenda is public participation, so there are folks in the audience, a lot of folks in the audience. We love folks who, type in if they have comments. We also have the Pierce LSC email that Rocky and I feverishly check on a regular basis here to see if there are any comments. There are none that have come through the for the past, I'll say, week or so. So I don't know if there have been a couple of folks join in for the YouTube channel from the YouTube channel, so you can check there too. I think the main comment was that they were looking for these slides to be shared with the general community. So again, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
In famous last words, my most fervent wish is that there be another presentation to the broader community, and actually that those slides be shared with folks. So I think that would be very helpful to do that. All right, now moving on to community group reports.
Oh, wait.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Participation? Anybody?
Too fast. Anyone cares to do this? All right. Thank you.
Can I quickly just go back and take a quick question?
Yeah.
A technical question. So I apologize that I missed your meeting this meeting. I wasn't able to look at your presentation ahead of time. And when I was trying to open it, because I was having trouble seeing, and sometimes my phone acts differently than my laptop, it was asking me to request access. Okay, I just want to make sure that I have a hard copy of that. Thank you.
No, actually, yeah, okay, because I need to make sure I put that in the meeting, so.
Sounds good. All right. Now moving on to community reports. And first, Friends of Pierce.
Hello, everybody. I'm Chad Curry, President of Friends of Pierce. A couple of things I wanted to update you on. We have a gift guide that is going out to students right now. These are all various gifts you can purchase where a percentage will come back to Friends of Pierce. I'm a big fan of, a lot of this stuff in here, actually. And we also have the reminder here to shop local first. But if you do shop Amazon, you can go to smile.amazon.com. And on smile.amazon.com, you can select Friends of Pierce as one of the organizations. So please make sure to do that. And that'll be a way that we can, we'll raise funds in a very passive way. But a lot of great local businesses on here. We want to thank them for their participation. Second thing I want to do is update you on some of the things we're funding. Our last board meeting on November 8th, we voted to fund $5,000 for field trips. This is to support kids who may not have money to participate in a field trip, or if there's a need for a bus, a teacher can request an extra bus, and that money goes to that as well. $5,000 for general library support. Miss Leander has been cleaning out books that are damaged and need to be removed for damages or whatever other reason. And this money goes to replace those books as well, or whatever the library needs for that. We have $1,000 for hospitality for school events. And then we have another $2,900 we gave for arts partnerships on top of the other money we provided for the arts partnerships a couple of months ago. That is all I'm going to say from Friends of Pierce. You'll see a lot of stuff coming out in a little bit here. And any questions you have for us?
Chad, for that Smile,
Yeah.
Amazon, is there, so it's in there, right, as a reminder for people, is there another way that we can blast this?
Yeah.
To the community? 'Cause it's not even just like during the holiday season, like.
Glad you asked.
We can have that, I mean, if all of our families choose to have that as their organization, like the money raised would be amazing.
Absolutely.
And I just don't think people know about it.
Yep.
And,
We're very aware of that, and that's something we've actually made it as one of our efforts, is we're going to keep promoting it.
Cool.
We have our newsletter coming out next week. The gift guide electronic will be in there, but also those types of reminders of things we're going to be adding. Yes?
When the gift cards electronically will be translated,
I'll see. We have translations on here. So
there are.
it's actually a copy, like essentially this as a gift guide. But yeah, there's translations.
There, okay.
Yeah, the translations are right down.
I have a question from a parent, and I don't know if this is an SLP question or a PSO question or both, but the parent was curious how much money they typically bring in from the book fair, and knowing that this is the first time it's taken place since.
Yeah, that I don't have at the top of my head, but it's.
Is that something you can eventually answer, or should I?
Yeah.
ask Michelle?
I mean, I can ask April. We've got it somewhere in our data.
Okay.
I don't have it off the top of my head. I'm sorry. Any other questions?
I just wanted to, for note taking, make sure I heard you, for the $5,000 that we raised for field trips, buses, library support, and anything else?
So there's two different $5,000. $5,000 for the field trips and $5,000 for the library support. And whoops, it's on my phone. $1,000 for hospitality. Thank you. Yes, and $2,900 for arts partnerships. Thanks, Keith.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chad.
You're
Now
welcome.
I'd like to welcome Chad
All right.
again to talk about the next topic, which is the.
Well, I have two colleagues here as
There
well.
you go.
So yeah, come on up. Come on up. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
So good.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bianca Jimenez. I'm parent here at Pierce of a pre-K and a third grader. Chad.
I'm Melanie Berlin, second grader here and a 3-year-old at home.
So we're here to talk about a project that we did as part of a diverse parent cohort. There were about 6 of us here. 4 of us are present, 2 of us couldn't be here. Kathleen is also part of our cohort, but we just wanted to give you guys some information about a project that we started last year. So it grew out of a parent group training that we did with Evanston's Anti-Racism Learning Studio, and it was a program to help parents build capacity to help support their schools in their anti-racist learning and measures. And so each group was tasked with finding a project that they could do at their school, and they sort of helped walk you through the process of what that would look like and what it looks like for parents to support a school. So we all come from we have students from, as small as pre-K up to 7th, 8th grade. And we're also all part of different parent groups at Pierce. I participate as a representative on the Bilingual Advisory Council. Some of us participate in the Race and Equity Parent Group. So it's a lot. It's a big, different group of people, which is something that we are really excited to do together and to bring all of these different areas of knowledge together. So our project was focused on disrupting bias and discipline practices here at Pierce. And that idea stemmed from Principal Zamie's report last year at the LSC meeting in January of 2022, where she outlined some of the school's discipline data. And so our goal really is to just, now that we've had some time to look at other data and put some slides together and really think through, how we can be of support. We really wanted to share this information with the larger Pierce community and Pierce parents, and just let you guys know about our story, about what we're doing, and how the community could be involved in something like this. So a little bit about our process. We looked at the school data that Ms. Zamie shared, and that was from January of 2022. We looked at school surveys, so a student survey that went out in 2019. We looked at Illinois report card for students with IEPs and the 5 Essentials survey as well. So we were looking at data from a lot of different places to see if we could come up with any ideas or really come up with any ways to analyze what's going on and how we can help. So some of the things that our data showed were that Black and Latinx students were disciplined the most at Pierce. That students with IEPs were also disproportionately disciplined, and that at Pierce, half of the students with IEPs are of Latinx background, and so it seemed that Latinx students with IEPs were among the most disciplined. So that's where this project grew from and where we thought we might be able to lend some support. I can pass it over to Melanie.
All right, I'm gonna look at notes on my phone. Can you hear me? I should face this way, or
No worries.
should I face this way?
It's okay.
Okay.
I will.
Okay, so did you talk about our goal of presenting this out?
No.
Okay, well, I'll just touch on that real quick. We are looking for allyship and we're looking for other groups to become involved in this work. And there are groups at the school that are doing this type of work, the racial equity parent group, the racial equity committee, and then there's like Facing History and other entities at Pierce that all are, working towards these types of goals. So we're hoping to like get everyone together on that and share the load and to talk about like what role we can all have in community building around this. So to tell you a little bit, I'll be very brief. What we've done already is we've met with Principal Amy and Mr. Jackson, and they're like totally on board with collaborating around kind of getting to the root of the disproportionate discipline and then trying to address that. And then Chad came up with a really awesome tracking system for keeping track of the disciplinary data. And then we're trying to encourage the sharing of that data because it was shared last January and we're trying to kind of keep track. And what we would like to do is we'd like to re-administer the student survey that was administered to students in 2019, which talked about like, do you have that sense of belonging that you were talking about, and do you feel safe at school? Do you have an adult you trust at school? Those types of questions, and then also a parent survey to kind of get some of the anecdotal stories from parents and kind of a sense from parents about how they feel their child and their family are doing at Pierce. And then we want to support teacher well-being because what teachers have, like I cannot imagine what the past couple of years has been like for teachers, the pandemic and hybrid and remote. And so teachers are kind of where this is, like why there are teachers that are disproportionately disciplining students of color. And it's possible that teachers need more support. They need to have to have more capacity. Like I'm an elementary teacher, and when I'm at the end of my rope, I'm disciplining easily, group discipline, everybody's recesses. No, but so supporting teacher well-being is a part of what we'd like to do.
Great. And so for our goals and outcomes, thank you both. We want to get to systematic, sustained support for teachers to help them disrupt the problem. And in the short term, what we'd like to do is reduce the inequitable discipline of Black, Latinx IEP students. And in the long term, we want to lower sustained proportional discipline data across the Pierce community. And we also want to help the community learn to use Dr. Fisher's framework for consciousness raising. Excuse me. Sorry about that. It's been a pleasure working with this group. We were funded by a grant. The organization's name again, Kathleen, I forget.
Crossroads Fund.
Crossroads Fund.
Which really helped us pay Next Steps because typically Next Steps charge us school group $5,000. And so Crossroads Fund gave us what's called a technical assistance grant.
Yep.
For groups that are working to build sort of that ripple effect in the school around a harmful practice and how they disrupt it.
Thank you. And we're open to questions. We did provide some slides that you all have access to. If you have any questions about those, you can write any of us with respect to that, or we'd be happy to take them now too.
I just wanted to make a comment that this is such a exceptional and, horrifying set of data to look at, and just to commend all of you, the 6 parents that come together. I know you're a grant, but still quite a bit of dedication. And to put this and present it in a way that I think doesn't walk around the issue, it's really pinpointing that there's an intersection amongst Latinx specifically and their IEP students, and that's first of all, they're disproportionately represented in the school, and then that's really leading to disciplinary violence. And also to invite anybody in the Pierce community that might not understand why this is important to please reach out to the group or the LSC if you're feeling like why might we be taking the time and space to talk about this. I think we all understand, but I want to bring more folks into the conversation, and also to build more of a coalition.
Yeah, that's actually the big thing we want to achieve here. You have the Race and Equity Committee here. We'd love to work with them, or Race and Equity Parents Group, so Friends of Pierce. Yeah, so we're going to go to the other parents groups as well. We wanted to start here because this is where Principal Amy brought the information and was very helpful in helping us look at this.
Good question. So we'll, save the slides in the meeting notes on the drive so everyone can access them. But did you also have plans to kind of share them with like in a newsletter or something like that?
I think right now our plan is to work with individual parent groups to present the information and all the what is at stake, how they might be involved, how they can contribute. So I think for our first step is to talk with the different parent groups that are already in place.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is PSO, Peer Service Organization. I don't know if they sent a report in. No. That's actually surprising because usually we discussed a lot of topics last time. So maybe I'll reach out to see what's.
Michelle might be busy with the book.
Yes, I did see her.
She actually is out of town.
Got it. All right. That's cool. The next one is Rachel at the Parents Group. I didn't receive.
Jill said there was a meeting because everybody was sick.
That's the equity committee. That's the one.
You're talking about
I'm getting to that one. Yeah, I'm going to
Okay.
that.
I didn't go on Tuesday to the national.
Okay. So that's something, Nicole, I think I want to work with you also to just make sure we do get these reports. Very.
I sent the notification to committee.
And you did.
But I don't think I sent the request reports to PSO, to Peer,
Got it.
to any
So
non-committee
we'll adjust
group.
it.
Yeah, I don't think I covered that.
That's
I'm sorry if that's what I was supposed to do.
No, that's fine. We can adjust that.
I was
mean,
thinking
it's-
more along the lines, and that's where my brain was.
And I think also as we're nearing the holidays, that maybe there's a little bit less going on there.
Rec did have a meeting last night, but I didn't.
Got it. Okay. Moving on to committee reports, starting with that, Biennial Advisory Committee.
No, they're not.
Buenas noches. Mi nombre es Aura Restrepo y traigo el informe de la LSC. La última reunión del BAS se llevó a cabo el 22 de octubre a las 3:15 en la Casa del Campo. Todos los oficiales estuvimos presentes. Horaria Rebollar, Claire Campo, Aura Restrepo Rincón, Yané Santos y Bianca Ramírez. Aura Restrepo.
Hello everyone, my name is Aura Restrepo and I'm going to be speaking in first person for her. This is Gabriela, but I'm Aura for this one. So I'm going to bring all of you the report to the LSC from the BAC group. The last meeting we had was on October 22nd at 3:15 in the field house. And all the officials or the officers were present, and the names are Oralia Rebollar, Glide Campos, Aura Restrepo Rincón, Janet Santos y Bianca Ramírez.
El señor Lenner dio un informe detallado acerca de las cartas de notificación del programa EL y 2, cómo interpretar los resultados de la prueba ACES que se da a todos los estudiantes en el programa. Estudiamos un ejemplo de una carta de notificación, discutimos cómo los educadores, así como las familias, pueden utilizar la información sobre el dominio del idioma en inglés para ayudar a sus hijos a desarrollar habilidades académicas del idioma. Votamos para gastar 400 de los presupuestos anuales en camisetas del BAT que se darán a los padres que asisten a las reuniones del BAT y a los eventos patrocinados por el BA, la compra de esta en curso.
Okay. So Mr. Lerner gave a detailed report about first the notification letters about the EL program, English learners, and also he gave a detailed report on how to interpret the results of the Access Assessment that is given to all the students that are part of the EL program. And he also showed us an example of a letter and we spoke about how the educators and the families can use this information about the mastery of the English language to be able to help their children to develop the academic abilities that they need to be able to master English. That's the first one. The second one is we voted to spend $400 of the budget to purchase T-shirts with the back BAC logo to be given to all the parents who come to the meetings, and also who to sponsor events, to sponsor BAC events, and that we are in the process of purchasing all of those T-shirts right now.
Hablamos acerca del plan para celebrar el Día del Niño como estaba previsto el viernes 28 de abril. Es posible que ampliaremos el día para incluir piñatas, así como una actividad adicional al fuera para celebrar a los niños y sus familias, como la alfabetización. Hablamos también acerca de la fiesta arte, llevaría a cabo el miércoles de esa misma semana, para incluir talleres de arte y actividades que promuevan y anuncian el Día del Niño, como por ejemplo hacer piñatas o hacer carteles para anunciar el Día del Niño que viene. La próxima reunión será el jueves 2 de febrero a las 3:15 en la Casa del Campo.
And then, stay right there, you are the main course. I'm just the voice. So we also spoke about this wonderful celebration that is called Día del Niño, or Day of the Children. And we are planning to have this on April 28th. And we might add new things to that besides the piñatas. We are planning to have activities to celebrate Día del Niño, Day of the Children, with the families, and we are also planning to have literacy. We also spoke about bringing art to this day, and to combine the Fiesta del Arte, or Day of Art Festival, with the Day of the Children. And we want to plan workshops, art workshops, and activities to promote the Day of the Children, or Día del Niño, and also to teach families, for example, how to make piñatas, or how to create different, the word just escaped my mind right now, how to do different, how do you say carteles again? It just escaped my mind. Carteles with like, I'm from a different country and it just came my mind right now. I'm so sorry. To do like posters, yes. We say afiches, it just came my mind. And also to be able to use these posters to promote the Day of the Children. And also the last thing is that our next meeting is going to be February 2nd at 3:15 in the field house.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Any comments? This is cool. Thank you very much. This is very good. Thank you.
That's a great celebration. It's exciting.
All right. So the next one, next report is from the PPLC.
We don't have a report for next meeting in this.
Thank you. Next report is from the Equity Committee. I am a member of this Equity Committee. We could not meet this past month for a variety of reasons. Some of the members were out of town and the sort. And so what we are gearing up for actually is a pretty busy next couple of meetings or topics. The first one and most important is membership. We are losing another one of our members, and so we have several parents who have expressed interest in joining. So part of the goals for last meeting was to actually finalize that list and submit it to the LSC for approval. So that's what we'll be working to do. So if you know anyone that might be interested in joining, it's brand new. And we're really hoping that something positive comes out of it. So please feel free to throw your hat in there. The other item is that we are going to, for our next meeting, Dr. Fisher, we've been referring to here, who was part of the at the root of this, the creation of this group, will attend our meeting. So it's going to be pretty busy. So it'll be nice to have a group there. So we'll have an agenda. We'll have we'll make sure and let folks know to attend, or at least that the meeting is going to be taking place. There is also a group from Northwestern University that does some work on racial equity specifically, that expressed interest in joining that meeting. So again, quite a bit going on over the next couple of weeks. So December 1st is when it's supposed to be. So
Is it Thursday?
So I believe so.
What time?
I believe it's 6 p.m. So again, we will share.
Virtual option or is it in person?
I don't know at this time. We'll figure it out. So we'll let folks know. Again, now the meetings are, the committee is a grand total of 3 people. And so we're trying to make sure we.
You, Joe,
and Clara, of course. So we're.
Do you feel that the people who've shown interest bring good representation racially to the group?
Yes, I think so. And the thing that we saw was that they were actually approaching equity from different angles. One was racial, without any, just, it was unequivocal, and others were more, they're a little bit different. They're approaching equity from a different standpoint. So again, that fits right into what we're trying to do. So we're really hoping that they still have interest because again, it's been a while. So we really want to make sure that folks do join. And so that's it for the equity committee. On the agenda, I had an item that I should have stricken through. That's goes to your point. It says safety and security. That's the one that we need to dig out. So I'll skip that one. And then the next one is the principal evaluation committee. So we had a meeting, and I guess I'll call it not impromptu, but almost, to talk about next steps. Because we're a little bit behind, honestly, on putting the surveys out there. So I have 2 sets of surveys going out. One from the teachers. That's right.
I'll send that picture.
Okay. So staff, teachers, and parents in the community. So we have a question about that. We're not really sure, as far as the community aspect of things is concerned, how and who to, how that gets disseminated or shared, and who should be the target. So we'll have some work to do there in trying to figure that out. Basic dates, we're aiming to release the surveys, that's right, with a response date of, and we will potentially, so December 12th, yeah. And then we will most likely need a special meeting sometime in December with tentatively asking for December 20th. Hopefully that works with folks' schedules. And the purpose of that meeting is, what's that?
I just wondered what they would have.
It'll be a Tuesday. And so the purpose would be to discuss the results of the survey results, complete the evaluation, and vote. Because if you all remember, this is the 4th year of Mrs. Zing's contract. And so she's asked that we sort of get our act together and get her some answers or at least feedback by the end of the year. Most likely it will be because it will. So because what's happening is we'll need to get into a session and then get into a special session, a closed meeting to discuss and then get back. So at this current time, that's the best format that would be suited for this.
Go ahead. I was just gonna ask, is there a certain goal, that we're trying to achieve in terms of getting, parent surveys? The teachers are obviously easy to get that and stuff like that. Is there sort of a benchmark that we're trying to meet?
Last time, I believe there were about 75 responses, something like that.
From 1,000?
That's right.
Wow.
It might have been a little bit more, but it's not a very, and it goes, keep in mind, it goes English and Spanish, and it goes in backpacks, it gets shared through s'mores, it gets shared through the parent reps' emails and all of that. So, so, anything that we can do at our levels to socialize this or publicize, whatever the appropriate term is, that would be very helpful. So Ella will look to you to knock on every classroom door to ask make sure that the students remember to show this to their parents. So so there were 2 options or 2 formats, right? There was, like I said, backpack mail or an online version as well.
What did you say the question is? You said the how and the who disseminates, and you're not sure?
For the broader community, because technically, this is supposed to go out to non-parents as well within this area. I don't know how that was done before, and I can ask and see.
And that's like in the bylaws, is when you say it has to be, is that like?
I don't know that it's in the bylaws, but the people vote for, the way I'm thinking about this is even for the LSC, there's a community opponent to it. But again, I could be wrong. I don't think it's in the bylaws anywhere.
I'm just trying to understand how anybody outside of the community that doesn't have a school would be able to evaluate the school without having direct interaction,
You're right.
Is there a way to find out if that is required, or are we just saying we think it's a good idea, it's the right thing to do?
I think it's a little bit of both. We can definitely find out straight up from whoever is going to be willing and able to respond from the. That's right. Yes, right.
I can email him and just check.
I don't know that it's been done in the past.
I can say that We've been on, since 12 hours every year that we've been on the council, and we've never solicited responses or feedback from the community. It's always been parents, staff, and teachers. And then the community reps just as they're able to do that, then make decisions based on the feedback that they have.
So I guess where do they get their?
So the idea is that the survey should serve for the vote, right? Like, so they look at it and they see that they're trying to apply for here, vote for here. So that's usually the process that's shown. We try to get as many voices as possible. The teacher survey, we poll all the teachers and we look at the data and we strictly go on voting yes or no based on what the teachers say. So the community reps also shouldn't be based on their opinion, it should be based on what the data and the survey data say. So that's the idea of sharing, it's like the parent service with the community.
But perhaps police has a way that it's done at other schools. I just know we haven't done it.
And can you all remind me, I'm remembering when I did this once that we all kind of had homework to do, right? Like reading the surveys and coming, I think we came with numbers, right? Like with scores.
That's right.
And then we, in a meeting, had a spreadsheet where we kind of compiled all
It's
the
easier
scores.
it's easier to front load it, but
Yeah.
you couldn't actually sit in the meeting and do it, but that, once you get all the surveys, you should make your scores, and then we came together and talked about it, and we had an opportunity to change your score, like I might hear what you say, but actually, I wanna go lower, I wanna go higher, but your raw score should come from whatever data you ascertain from the survey.
Okay, yeah, just so everybody's aware, I guess, of that, so before that December 20th meeting, we all have homework to do. I think we'll get the spreadsheet, right, and we all have to enter
That's
our
right.
numbers before that meeting.
That's right.
And I think that meeting is twofold. It's an evaluation and then also a vote on a contract reform. So we're kind of doing two things. So what I think we'll also need to share with the LSC is Ms. previous 3 evaluations. So we can look at trends over the course of over the.
Okay, so that's very important. I can see one. That's dashboard. Got it.
I'm just a little concerned that the percentage of parent surveys that we're getting back, is that really, can we really say that we're actually hearing from parents when we get that small of a ratio? And also, I did know we work towards outreach, so I just want to say that I don't feel like I've added to a solution to this, but is this Monday parent teacher conference today? Kind of. So.
Yes, but
Right.
most teachers have already.
Okay, so that would have been a nice access point for parents.
But it should go home in their weekly, we have to send home a weekly newsletter. So it should be, like, once that data comes, we will send a link. So, I mean, it's really hard, I appreciate what you're saying, but on the flip side, like, every week I send home this newsletter and I do all the stuff, and you can see who reads it, it's like, so we do try to get as many voices, but at least the people who take the time, I think it's important to honor.
Definitely.
But, I mean, if you have ideas for more outreach, but I do know, like, sending these home, the parent volunteers, like, I don't know what else.
You know, it sounds like it's
Talking about, like,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
when you have this much really talk about, like, I wonder if other parent groups can help us, you know, post
I
up
think
there
beyond
to
teachers putting in the newsletter, there's not much else I see. I don't think the onus should be on the teachers. I don't know the answer to this, but yeah, part of it is.
Well, that's the one direct point of contact, right, that's always there, so like, at least you know that last is covered, then you've done your due diligence. Like, that's how I.
It's like newsletter, teacher.
The snore, it comes from the
Sorry,
snore.
that's what I meant. The school snore is like the first one, then your teacher needs that is the next layer. And then if it's a figure out a third, that
I
way
think
the
it's
parents.
backpack now, right?
Yeah.
It goes in every kid's backpack.
Yeah.
So there's at least 3 points of contact that every family.
Yeah, because last time, so being a parent,
Yeah.
you know, we got the paper copy, but then mom did it online. So I was like, do I need to turn this in? What do I do? So there's that too, right?
And also, I mean, it's been 4 years since the last, decision about her contract renewal that we made, and maybe if we stress communicating that, this survey has a big impact on the renewal one way or another, and maybe we get more participation, that, oh, okay, this is a principal survey, whatever, I don't really care, but if it has more weight knowing that it is going to be used in the evaluation of the contract, and whether or not she's renewed.
Yeah, there's a cover
We're
letter.
11 minutes for this section, if you want to keep going.
You just prompted a question, or I guess a distinction in my mind that I didn't realize I wasn't thinking about, but is that about 75 responses number, from the last time there was a contract?
No.
No, the last time the survey was.
Every year.
Okay, got it.
No, the last survey. That's good.
So the survey happens every year, but not the contract review.
That's right. Contract
Yeah, so I think to Lindsay's point, I think that makes a lot of sense, conveying the importance to parents of, yes, you see this all the time, but this year it is different.
Yeah. I was actually reviewing the cover letter for the survey last year, and we do emphasize that, or what we said it was the third year of the contract. So I think this year, you know, we'll probably say, you know, it's 4th year, it's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with what everyone said. Anything else on the principal evaluation? Good. All right. Next one is bylaws. I think we're pretty
No
good on
update.
LSC communications.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, we're still, like, we haven't met, establishing ourselves as a committee, I mean, it's me, Keith, and potentially, Lauren, yeah. But areas of focus, I think, that we've talked on the side about is just the communication of this year with the principal evaluation. But maybe that's something that we should discuss even for next week's meeting, or next month's, well, January's meeting, about the communication, meeting as a committee and abiding by the OMA guidelines. I just wonder if the work of the committee can be done without formalized meetings and it just being more like with safety and security, where we're getting updates. There might be communications happening amongst LSC members, but not formally meeting unless there's, I don't know, I think that might be worth talking about.
I don't, nothing comes to mind that we would need to address separate from the LSC. And commit a good deal of time to, in order to go through all the formalities of separate meetings and.
Yeah. Are you asking, like, should we be a formal committee? Yeah.
Or just that we're kind of still in the discerning of, what is necessary, what's needed.
Well, for Luis, because I asked the same question for the I don't know if I'm saying it right, the safety and security committee. When you said, if you're a committee, you have to, right. So the question becomes, the question you're asking, should we be informed, does the business of that entity warrant meetings, and therefore does it warrant being a formal committee? Right. So maybe we can put that on the agenda for the next meeting and talk about that a little bit more.
Yep.
Just our ideas of it as to what we want to see the committee really looking like, if it is going to be a committee, and if not, what are areas of focus that a few of us can be, whether it's technology, whether it's communications of what's happening within these LSC meetings and the work that we're doing to the larger community. I do wonder, I think we talked about this early on, maybe during our first meeting or our organization meeting, I can't remember, but part of answering that question may hinge on finding out what the community wants and needs. So if you're survey, since you're also on the principal evaluation committee, but some sort of needs assessment from the community, like what communication needs to improve from the LSC, what you want to know more about, like just maybe 3 questions to kind of see where community members are. And maybe we could do that after the principal evaluation, so they're not slammed. I'd be happy to help pull data too. I don't know if you do survey data. Yeah. Pretty easy. I think even a lot of our community members don't even know the LSC exists. What is its purpose? Why are we meeting? What do we do? So, I think we could even address some of that outside of even a survey, just sharing more. My suggestion, if we remove committees or are thinking about removing committees, is that we put that work somewhere, because I think we all agree it needs to happen. We don't want it to get lost. And I think we talked about that last time, like if when the new council comes in, we don't want that assumptions to be made that something's gonna get passed along that isn't. So if we remove communication committee, for example, like where does that work live? And I think we should put it in the bylaws somewhere. Yeah, I agree.
All right. I'm sorry, can I circle, before we move on, can we circle back to principal, just to something here? One thing I'm wondering how Ms. Bombardier and I might work with you to find a way to solicit student voice in their evaluation. Because I know that's something that the team is very passionate about, and students. So I think that might be something we want to consider. And since we have you on, I know we can find a way to do that.
I think this is kind of on topic, but also adults, you're not allowed to vote in the formal for the evaluation, right? Is that what that's? Yeah.
She's not allowed to, but I think it would be nice just to have, it wouldn't be a decision thing, but it would be nice for us in that the rest of us vote.
I also think in general, we're all trying to figure out how to increase you more, your voice, and your voice as amplifying the student's voice in the meetings. We're all still trying to figure that out too. New to us, and then we can contact you. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's good. Thank you, teachers, for following.
I think it,
We forward it all, it's actually good that you can, because I think the annual contact. So you could always, it's one of us usually just say forward it, and that's why I said to you, I'm sorry, my messages aren't like, hey, how are you, just forward it. But it is getting different.
10 copies of the same meeting.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea.
All right. Very good. Thank you all for the community reports. We have a couple more items here. I put a note here, placeholder for old business. I don't know that we had any, but I wanted to put that in there. So
I think Sveta was going to, she had put together, like, this is how quick her inability to come happened. She was, messaging Nicole and me about the lists that she said she put together, in response to the conversation we had about hybrid. And then boom, she's like, I don't think I can come tonight, something happened at work. So all of that is to say that I think that was going to go under old business, but we aren't her, so she's not here, so, that's my long-winded way of saying, maybe table that. Or until anyway.
Got it. I'm glad I put that in there. Okay, new business, I think there's one item here that we put, and Kathleen, I think that was from you, discussion on the 7th grade DC trip.
Yeah, and I put that there because I was, talking with some other seventh grade parents who were concerned, about the competition for scholarships. And I think they might have reached out to Mr. Lee. So I don't know, I was just asked to put that agenda. I don't know what happened with that, but I do know that the concern was, that why are we having students who are in financial need competing for scholarships? I think that was the question. So we asked Mr. Lee this week.
Yeah, I mean, were you, first of all, are you aware of this, or is that first time hearing?
The question
Give
was.
us a background.
Right.
It's really hard.
It's hard to hear.
It's hard to hear.
Oh, sorry. So, yeah, can you just give a little background of, Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Is this talking loudly? I don't know, my voice doesn't carry, but, so I'm a seventh grade parent, and there's, a trip that the school, coordinates to Washington DC. And then there's an eighth grade trip too, but I don't know much about that. And so, and it's $1,400, $1,300 total is the cost. And so for students who may need financial support, there are scholarships being offered that entail students having to write an essay, and then the essays are reviewed, and that's how the scholarship recipients are selected. Jump in if I'm not getting this correct. And so there are some concerns among some seventh grade parents are concerned about the seeming inequity of having students who are financially disadvantaged competing for assistance.
Is that evaluated here or by the folks that run the program?
I don't know.
So the folks that have to write the essay, who reviews or evaluates the essay? Is it us here as a community, or is it peers, or is it the people that put together the program?
It's a formality though, isn't it? No one doesn't go.
Yeah, everyone gets
Right.
the scholarship.
Is it okay if we participate?
We don't know.
So yeah, seventh grade, any parent that's reached out, we've kind of had a conversation about the process. The scholarships are available to all students. So it's not like only for students. I mean, it would be hard to like identify that, but like in one of the questions it asks, you know, what are the expectations for you in terms of like scholarship? What are you looking for, and how would that impact? And so it's like it would give us further insight as to like the financial needs. But everyone gets to apply for a scholarship. And I think there's like immense value in learning on how to advocate and like apply for things, especially like from personal experience, just going up under the poverty level. Like I did not know the process, and there's like a barrier with that. And I think one support that I try to create is to talk to students that feel like they've experienced those barriers. And, you know, I've had conversations with students that, like, we stress the importance, they're trying to back out of it, because they just would rather not. But I'm like, this is a great experience for you. I think you should definitely apply. And one shift that I made was to offer the workshops with students during the school day so that it's not, taking away from it. Another barrier would be if it was after school. And so it's just consistently learning and trying to break those barriers to give the experiences that students need.
So is there a fund, like there's a certain amount of financial aid that is given and then it's dispersed amongst the students?
So the panel decides that.
Okay.
The panel has not yet decided. Essentially, it would be like an anonymous process where like the applicant's names are removed and the panel would review the answer to the essay questions and then they would allot the scholarship amount and then it would be like a unanimous decision rather than like them necessarily decision.
I think, I'm going to speak as a parent who cannot afford that trip. And having to reveal to anybody, that carries a stigma. And I wonder if you can consider in the future shifting to a way of fundraising with anonymity, as much anonymity as possible. Because it's humiliating for some people to be put into a separate category because of socioeconomic factors. So I just want to state that personally. And, the other part of this too is that I think there are best practices from other schools who sponsor trips that I'm aware of that have not only worked with their friends of groups, but also held student dances, student car washes, student-centered and led fundraisers that all students participate in to collectively raise money so every student can go. I know Ravenswood made that happen. So I just would ask that we consider that for the future because it's been, I know there are other parents for whom I put this matter on the agenda, but just the more I'm thinking about it, it's been a real, I don't even know how to characterize the emotions around this opportunity not being something that we can afford, nor that my child is really interested in putting himself out there to write an essay because of that stigma.
Thank you for sharing that, and I'll definitely consider it.
Thank you.
I was wondering, can I be on the spot? Did you have anything? Have you been involved in this at all?
Well, I'm in 7th grade, so I'm trying to get a trip. My parents knew this was coming, so they started saving for this, but I feel like in the years before this, it needs to be known more that this is going to happen, or it may happen, so parents can start saving up money or finding ways to pay for it, or preparing for it. And it's, yeah.
The school that I mentioned, Ravenswood, they fundraise, they only have an 8th grade trip, they don't offer it in 7th grade, and the students do that fundraising in 7th grade. Looking, 28th grade.
Yeah, I just want to second that. Yeah, I've seen it at other schools too, like the whole class fundraises for everybody, so nobody has to feel like there's any stigma. I guess it was kind of a red flag too, when you said, Mr. Lee, that like some students don't want to, they're just like, oh, I just won't go, I don't want to do this essay, I just won't go. Like that seems like we're adding a barrier. And I hear the part about like the learning outcome and like the goal of it, but I wonder if it's just adding a stigma and a barrier unnecessarily. So can all students go who want to go? Like basically, okay.
I don't think not this communicate. That's not my understanding.
So all students could go on the trip, even if they don't participate.
So it's a capstone experience for 8th grade.
Okay.
So like the priority is the big students, and then like we invite 7th grade just because it typically in years past has been a lower turnout. So like about 20, typically about 20 students in 8th grade. You would have like 20 students in 7th grade, 40 students. But all 8th grade and 7th grade students are invited.
And why is there a low turnout, you think, for the
In
8th
years
grade?
past,
Yeah.
What's the premise of the trip? Like why is it even?
visiting the state capital. I mean,
Yeah, is it part of the curriculum of what they're learning about U.S. government and?
yes, like so, like eighth grade curriculum, it's heavily tied to civics, and so like there's an itinerary set by the bus driver that we review and take a look at, and so we try to tie it to learn as much as possible.
Has there been a conversation with friends of peers to maybe ask them to fund this ever in the past?
This year we have not. We're using the funds from Friends of Peers prior to the pandemic. They set this money aside for us to go like in 2019, and we were unable to go, and so that money stayed intact, and so there was no need to ask for additional.
We're at 11 minutes for this topic.
Moving on to the next topic then, public participation, second time. Oh, I see we have some members of the public soliciting the input. Okay. And I'm the art pressing inspector. All right. So next item is announcements or general comments. Oh,
Yeah, no, we're good.
It moves. The eyes are like that. The camera is just a black thing above it.
Eyes rotated last time. I must be Have you watched the movie Jump? Okay, so kind of makes you suicide.
No, it doesn't move. It's the thing of that. It's moving, but you just can't see it's black and there's no reflection in there. That's good. All right. Next item. Oh, sorry. Announcements, comments.
Motion super grateful that it's warm.
Yes.
We were here, so
It's usually hot in here in the winter.
it's usually hot.
It's like hot.
This thing is driving me absolutely nuts. You know what? It reminds me of college days because this was the heat in college. It was right below my bed. It's like
Well, we'd like to
Not
look
good.
to like revisit, I'm being silly, but I really have trouble hearing, like, the presentation, I hadn't, it's not your fault, it's the acoustics, but it's I keep finding myself turning my ears to hear, so it's just, it's an ongoing
I
issue.
think for Gabby too, who's translating, she's
Yes.
really,
Yes, I
really
noticed that.
having.
Okay. Do you think it might be possible to look 120?
Well,
Like starting it up the console, and then if we have too much public, we can move.
I thought it was because of public participation.
This is about typical though.
Yeah. What?
I just wonder if, because 120 is a conference room / classroom, like we could set up tables like this and chairs for public. And then for 2 members of public, because we could use back here.
Yeah.
What's the capacity?
And the chairs roll.
Yeah.
They're gated chairs.
Owl, no, they're not. The chairs and the owl.
Some drama.
So do we wanna like perhaps,
We'll have to ask.
who would we ask?
I think
Sam, you making the decision right there. Be neutral. Okay.
I mean, I think we can have the meeting wherever we want it to be, right? We have to publicize it anywhere in the building.
I think the only concern was about, if we didn't have a door that could be propped open. I know Lori's concern when we talked to her about it a while back was that security would need to be hired, but I know from other schools, and you suggested this, and I think she seemed different, I don't want to speak from this meeting, but I'm just recalling a conversation with you after, I think, our September meeting, that, couldn't we put, either on the agenda, on the door, or on a post-it note, a cell phone number to call, and then one of us could just come out, knowing that it's only going to be about 5 people on average, so that's not too big of a burden. I just really want to make sure that people, both in person and through the YouTube can hear. And if I can hear presentations, then I worry that others can as well.
And making it a more accessible space too, if you're like, should I go? Can't really hear them.
Yeah.
It's not very comfortable. So I think, yeah, it just brings up the quality of that. I'd love to be a conversation.
You know, going out.
we just walk by and knock on the window. I'm great.
Just the fence, the garden.
Throw a couple of rocks. All right. Next to last item is checking on the norms. As I read through them, I don't think you need to make them. It said respect student and staff member confidentiality, unless it's a threat to safety. I don't know if you want to.
No, we need to keep that. We had an incident.
No, I'm adding.
Oh.
No, not taking it out.
Okay, not going down there.
But anyway, this second.
Sorry, take that one.
I'll put that. I'll send that in. Yeah, just participants. Next item is the motion to adjourn.
Second.
I like to make a motion to adjourn. Captain, okay. And A's, the nays, that's it. Ayes. Well, thank you all for your time. See you in the half hour. Yeah, very good.
Thanks to Mr. Munoz and Ms. Liz and Mr. Payne. And thank you, Piana. Did we leave these again? That one time they leave them? Remember that last time?
What's that?
Last time someone, I think someone from facilities came in and asked us to leave these.
Oh,
Yeah.
That was, yeah, that was one.
Yeah, that's right.